Well, now I have lots and lots of 2-inch strips in all these fun fabrics that I showed you I got at the thrift store. I still really like that one the best. It has more roses. I have quite a bit here. And then I have some solids. Okay, probably more prints than solids. Anyway, you may wonder, what in the world is she going to do with all these 2-inch strips? I've never done this before. I'm not much of a seamstress. I am no quilter, but I'm being inspired, as I've said, by Kate Jackson and the work that she's been doing. And she has an old video where she makes a cushion cover in the log cabin pattern, starting with a 2-inch square and then adding strips around it. And you sew a strip on, you cut it to length, and you sew another strip on, and it's just easy. You just go around in a pattern, and it's not hard, or so it didn't look hard for her. So we're going to see. This is really a test to see, can somebody who's just a normal bad seamstress like me, can I make a semblance of the cushion cover that Kate Jackson did? Now let me show you the pillow that I want to cover, because I have pillows on my living room couches that I'm hating more and more. So I'll show you what I'm going to do. So here are the cushion covers. They match the fabric on my couches, and they're quite large. This is bigger. Goodness, how long are these things? From corner to corner, 20 inches. Actually, probably a little bit more. Kind of curious about what's inside there. I could just make a cushion cover that would cover this whole thing, or I could cut off this cover and find out what's on the inside and just cover it. I'm very tempted to do that. I'm tired of these. This is a kind of a velourish, I don't know, kind of suede feeling almost, but like, I like the couches. I like the color. But I'm ready to have some cushions look better. And I do think that these dusty rose cushion covers would look really good with the couch. So this is the next project I'm going to work on, and I'm going to take you along with me on my rusty old sewing machine and my very indifferent skills, and we'll see if I can come up with a cushion cover that I'm willing to put in my living room. Well, I have you set up way in a corner. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I've also got Kate Jackson over here on the laptop so that I can reference her video if I happen to get stuck on this. So I have cut a little 2-inch square of my favorite fabric with a nice little rose in the middle. And then according to Kate, you take another piece. Now hers are in little pieces, and mine are in long strips because I started with some pretty good long fabric. So I am going to go ahead, and she said to cut it first. I think I understand why she said that. Okay, so I'm going to cut another little 2-inch strip of what I'll call my palest roses. And then I think she's using a quarter inch. So that means probably the edge of my pressure foot will give me a 1/4 inch. Now, I am really tempted to find a little scrap of fabric and use it. You know, that's really a good idea. Do I have a little scrap in here? Here's a little scrappy piece to use. What does she call it? A thread bunny or something? Thread buddy? I don't know. I think I'm going to do that so I don't mangle my edges when I am sewing it. That's a good idea. Let's do that. She leaves a little bit of a gap, though, between the two. Take my shoes off when I push the pedal. Now, my machine is loud, so I may mute it out when I'm actually sewing so that you don't have to listen to it rattle. It's kind of a scary machine. All right, let's do 12 stitches to the inch. And then you just snip that little thread buddy. I'll call it a thread buddy. Now she said to finger press these open. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. Now I have to remember that this is my center. This is the log cabin center. Usually you would use a red piece. Maybe I should have used some of the pink because it represents the fire at the middle of the cabin. But I didn't do that. So now I need a piece that is the length of these two. And I think Okay, so I used that one, so now I'm going to use a pink one. And my pink ones, I cut them first and I did kind of a bad job, but we will hope for the best. I am not trying to make this perfect. I better watch for a second, make sure I do this correctly. Okay, so here are my first three. Here's the center of the log cabin. Here's my first extra square, which actually turned out to have almost no pattern in it at all the way it was cut. And then this one is the length of two of them. And so now I'm going to go across the bottom, I believe here. I'm working it surrounding the center fire, okay? So I'm going to put the next piece, the length here. Okie dokie. Now I'm kind of finger pressing these as I go. Here's my center fire. I have the first square, the second square, and the third square. Now at this point, as Kate says, the easiest way to figure out where your next piece goes on is by counting how many seams you have. So up here, well, not seams, but how many pieces you have. So up here I have 2 pieces. Over here I have 2 pieces. But over here I have 3. And so this is the next side that I want to put one on. So, and the 4 pieces I have are this one, this one, this one, and this one. And so now it's this one's turn again. Well, I've made a little progress. Here we go. Now, because I'm not using a whole bunch of different fabrics, I'm using 4 fabrics, then you can really see the pattern of how I've got the centerpiece, and then this is going to go out in pink, and this is going to go out in those deep roses. This is going to go out in the pale roses, and this is going to go out with that kind of beigey background. So it's going to be kind of fun. I'm excited about this. The only thing, actually, this was the center right here. I wish that this had more pattern in it. It really stands out, but I just, anyway, didn't do that. That's okay, though. As Kate said, it's just a scrappy little log cabin cushion cover. It doesn't matter. But I am learning a pile. I love all of her little tricks. The thread bunny is fabulous. I wish I had done this 35 years ago when I was sewing. I am using her, I don't know where I put the other one. Let's see. There it is. Kate uses a light gray as kind of her universal thread almost all the time. And so I went and bought 2 spools of this today so I could use that. And it just blends into everything. Of course, the seams don't show here, but I'll be using that for the top stitching later, as we used to call it. Top stitching. We used to top stitch everything. Do you remember that all those years ago? Okay, before I lose track of where I am, I better get off here and focus. Well, it's really not very much later, and this is what I have made. I do feel like that solid color kind of jumps out at you, but that's okay. This is my learning experience, and I'm going to be on the lookout for more fabric that I can do this with. And I have lots more of this fabric too. Isn't that fun? That's not quite big enough to cover that couch pillow, but in a little bit it will be. Oh boy. All right. Well, I have to go make supper, so I'm going to leave this. And this also needs a good pressing too. But it doesn't look too shabby. Hi, I thought I would show you really quickly what I love about this whole thread bunny. I wish can somebody tell me which one it is? Is it buddy or bunny? Anyway, I love this idea because this is what you do. You stick this little scrap in there and you put your presser foot down. Isn't that wonderful? None of this fiddling with it. And then you leave a teeny little gap, just maybe a stitch or 2 in there. And then you can go ahead and just start sewing on that and then run straight into this. But there's none of this fiddling with trying to get the presser foot right on the edge here, right in the corner, trying to do a forwards and backwards and ending up with a wad of thread here that actually pulls in the edge of your corner. Everything, this is one I've just done, everything is so clean. It's just amazing. And all of this is going to be tacked, like this is going to be tacked down by the next run that goes this way. So it's not really a worry that it's not knotted. And boy, it makes for an easy beginning to every single line of stitching. I'm so happy to have been told about this. Well, it's a new morning in the sewing corner. That's what I'll start calling this, is the sewing corner. It's a rainy day outside, and you see that Leo is expanding from just his spot on top of the scanner to another adjacent spot on top of the air conditioner. Sorry, didn't mean to disturb you in your morning nap. Okay, so I visited the thrift store again yesterday and looked at, they have more fabric than I have ever seen them have there. So I finished this square. Now I know, this pink section was a mistake. When I was cutting my strips, I assumed I was going to get this scrappy hodgepodge that Kate got, but then when I started assembling it, and I had, as I said, 4 colors, I ended up with 4. I needed to spread this way, this way, this way, this way. I could have mixed them up. By the time I realized what I was doing, it was too late, and it's okay. But now I've got to pick a back fabric for the back of the pillow. It's going to have, I think, what Kate called an envelope closure, not a zipper. I think this is easier than a zipper for sure, but just where one panel overlays another by a good bit, and you can open it up and take the pillow out. So I was going to use this color, this pink, for that, but to be honest, I'm just not that fond of that fabric. But I found a different one yesterday, and tell me what you think of this as the back. This is a Waverly fabric, and I generally am pleased with Waverly. It's a sturdy, it's not like what I think Liberty fabric is for Kate, which is a very fine, light lawn, which is why you can hang it in the window and see through it. You wouldn't be able to do that with Waverly. But for a pillow cushion on a couch that gets used every day, this would be really sturdy. And so, see, I think that's going to work, and I think it would tone down this pink. But I like the idea of this as the back. I really, really do. The other thing about Waverly is that they sell it at Walmart. Not this Walmart, but the one in the bigger town near me. And I bought it to use in my kitchen for the curtains and the little curtain around the sink. And I've been real pleased with that. It's just real sturdy. Okay, so I've got also a little band that's going to go across. Why now do I want to use this now? Will this work as a band across the back? Maybe. I'll have to look at that. I'm one of those people that if I see something, I know if it works or not. But I have to see it. The other thing I've got is a little wad of 2-inch scrappy strips that I can use on. I have 2 of those couch pillows, so I'll need to make another one. So we'll see how that goes. I'm real excited. I've been enjoying this very much the last 2 days. I haven't sewn in such a long time, and this has been lots of fun. Many thanks to Kate Jackson. Don't you agree, Leo? He's going to bite me any second. Okay, well, I ripped out the seam on one of my red pillows to find out what kind of pillow was on the inside. And this is what I found. I can't say I'm too pleased with it. It didn't feel lumpy or bumpy when it was inside the red casing, but it sure looks... Look at this corner down here. It's just barely attached. So I don't know what to think. It is true that my cushion cover is not big enough yet. I would need to do a whole nother round, which I don't mind doing. Oh, the other thing I'm going to do. Now, Kate, when she made hers, she had batting that she put in between. She really did quilt her cushion cover. So she had this on the outside, and then she had, I think, some kind of a cotton muslin or something on the inside, and then she had some batting in between, thin batting, and then she quilted it all, and then she put it around a pillow insert, okay? And I think part of the reason is because she wasn't using Liberty fabric, but she was using, I think, probably thinner fabric. This is thicker and pretty sturdy, so I'm going to omit the batting because I don't have any. But I am going to use, yeah, this is just a nice muslin, stiff, not too thick. I'm going to put it on the back of this pillow cover, the whole thing, and then put it over top of that ugly green pillow. Boy, isn't that just awful looking? But we've been using it for, oh, I don't know, 15, 17 years. The thing is that these red covers were not removable. You had to wash the whole pillow. This way, I'll have a cushion cover that I can remove quickly and wash it and put it back on. I really like that idea. Okay, so we're going to get after this, make this a little bigger. Add our back panels, add the undercover. There's still a lot to do. This was the fun part. I think that that's true. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, I looked again at Kate's video just to refresh my brain. Now I've laid this right sides together, not that it matters right now, on top of what's going to be the back of the pillow cushion. And I don't want this selvage over here, so I'm going to be cutting that off. And there's a little fringy edge up there that I don't want. So that's a complete back, but it's going to be overlapped in the back. So I need to cut off, I need to add however much overlap I want. And I'm going to have a little edging. So probably to this fold right here would be enough, I think. So that's where I'm going to cut. I think I'll just do that with scissors. I tell you, that rotary cutter is wonderful for doing all these little things, but it's the first time I'd ever used it for fabric, I believe. And I was just a little nervous because I'm used to scissors. But it's fun watching Kate use her rotary cutter and her big plastic rulers to make straight edges. I must admit that that is actually harder. She makes it look so easy. It's harder than you think. Okay, so now I've got a nice big piece of this left over that I can put back in the fabric drawer. Maybe I'll use that on the second cushion. It's not enough for another back, but it would be enough for some strips. Okay, now I'll cut the fringe off and the selvage off and then straighten up this last edge too over here on the other side. Okay, I'll bring you back. Well, I'm nearly done. It's been quite an adventure. I would say my biggest challenge with this project was my thread, because I went to Walmart and bought Coats and Clark, or I guess it used to be Coats thread. It used to be kind of the gold standard. It was very high quality thread, and now it's rubbish. It's just awful. It's thin. You could use it for basting, but it just breaks at the drop of a hat. It's awful. So I'm gonna have to go, but that's the best that they had at Walmart. They had a whole rack of it. It looked beautiful, but it sews terribly. So I mean, I'll still try to use it, but it kept on breaking, and it struggled to load into my bobbin. It was very difficult. It got tangled up at the very beginning on the spool, and I had a hard time even getting it started. So it was very frustrating. But we have accomplished this project. I'm at the very last little seam. I nearly got myself in a pickle because I tried to do what seamstresses do, which is usually put right sides together when I was trying to finish off my quilted section and my white backing. And then I watched Kate's video again and realized, no, it's wrong sides together. And then you do all of the quilting with the two sides together. So it's turned out really well now. I did do the quilting, which was very fun. Tons of sewing, just sewing and sewing and sewing. Long straight seams and taking little corners. She had some batting or wadding in between her two layers of fabric, and so she did some basting stitches to hold those three layers together so they didn't shift. I don't have any batting or wadding in between these two layers of fabric. So I didn't think that I needed batting or wadding or basting, stitch basting. Instead, I just pinned. I pinned a good bit to keep these two layers of fabric in place. And it helps so much to start your quilting, your machine quilting from the middle and work your way out like she did. Okay, that keeps, you press it all with handy dandy iron first, and then you keep pressing with your fingers as you work your way out, and everything turns out smoothly. The last thing I'm going to do is trim my two edges, and then fold my flaps over, my envelopes over, and sew the sides down and turn it and put it on my pillow and see if it kind of fits. We're going to hope about that. So here's the last little seam. All right, exciting. Now we'll trim up those edges because they are a little bit wonky, as she would say. This whole thing might qualify as a wonky log cabin by Kate's standards. But that's okay. And then we will fold in the fancy side first with its trim and the other side second, and make sure that it overlaps correctly, and then sew our edges. Oh, it sounds like somebody might be home. We better go check. Okie dokie, it's time to turn it. I did have to cut off a good bit in order to include all the lining and all the quilting, and get a straight edge, a square edge. I had to cut off a good bit, which was a little distressing. Is it going to be big enough? It is a very big pillow cover. Did I do everything right? We will find out when we get it. Oh, see, I didn't catch that. How did I not catch that? Oh, I have to go back in. All right. Well, we'll look at my mistake. All right, so here it is, but over here, I didn't catch that edge in my seam. Now I can go back in and run it a little bit further inside and catch that. This is definitely a first scrappy attempt. Well, all right, I'm going to have to run this seam again and make sure I catch that in there. How did I? Oh dear. Maybe I should take that seam out. I think I will. I think that would be better. I clearly didn't get it in there. Okay, we'll give that another shot. All right, I fixed it. Okay, so here's the front. It's more of a rectangle than a square. Here's the back, the little envelope closure. There's plenty of overlap. The nice thing about a pillow is it doesn't have a right way up or a wrong way up. And hopefully with that wonky cushion insert, whatever you want to call that stuff, it doesn't have to fit too well. Let's see. I'm going to put it in there. Will it fit? Well, I am actually stunned that it fits really well. I don't think, well, that corner's a little funky, but it's kind of bumpy, but that's the nature of the insert. I don't think I could have made it fit any better if I were an expert or if I had tried really hard. And it was very easy to get. Oh, that's that funny corner that we looked at earlier. Okay, let's get him out there. Leo is trying to get something out there. All right, it's done. Isn't that great? Thank you for coming along on this project. I enjoyed that so much and found it fairly easy if I had better thread. I also need to clean my machine, I'm sure, but I would love to make more of these. Maybe I can, and I'll get rid of the pink next time and just have all those wonderful flowers. Maybe I could go to Walmart and get lots of Waverly fabric. Anyway, so that was fun. Thank you, Kate Jackson, so much. I am enjoying this little teeny piece that I made, inspired by Kate Jackson again. She calls these her, what is it, patchy pixels or something? This is not her pajogi. I don't know. I can't keep track of all her terms. This is a teeny little thing. It's only the width of my hand. I wanted to see if I enjoyed it. I mounted it on a bamboo skewer. I can't talk today. With a little suction cup. Hangs on my window in my studio, and I get to enjoy it as I look out the window. Hello, YouTube friends. Well, it's a Sunday afternoon, and because I've been doing a little bit of sewing lately on my sewing machine that goes rattle, 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 clunk when I sew with it, it doesn't do this nice whirring sound that some machines do, this gentle, no, none of that. It's always been pretty loud. And I've done this before and cleaned the inside of the machine. I've taken off the bottom. Now this machine is about as old as I am. This is what the bottom looks like. It looks pretty awful. Well, probably should clean the inside of that. My husband has taken up sewing as well, and we went to the thrift store the other day to look at they had piles of fabric. It was wonderful. He bought lots of fabric, but they also had a sewing machine there for sale. They had a white sewing machine is the brand name, made in Japan, and it's a wonderful little machine. It was, the label on it said it belonged to our county's school system, so it was probably a home ec sewing machine. And the thrift store thought it had some kind of a little electric problem maybe or something, so he bought it in its furniture cabinet for $5. Can you believe that? And he brought it home, and he knows how to rewire stuff, so he looked at it, but he couldn't really find anything significant wrong with it. The reverse button was a little stuck, but he got it unstuck. Anyway, it makes that lovely purring noise when you sew with it. I wish I could get one like that, but I think he's going to keep that one. Anyway, he's sewing and I'm sewing, but he's been watching all of these sewing channels, and they talk about something called shmoo. SCHMOO, I think. I don't know. And we didn't think that was a real word. We thought it was just a slang word, but shmoo is a real word for the gunky, sticky, greasy junk that you find in a machine. And a lot of people who work with sewing machines talk about the shmoo in their machines. So I've got a lot of that to clean out. I do have sewing machine oil that had a long time. I do have sewing machine lubricant, and I have a little teeny brush for taking out the lint. But I'm going to go at this with a vengeance. But see, some of this, I'm going to turn this around actually and show it to you, because some of it, the cogs and wheels are they're dark and greasy. There's a lot of shmoo in there. And I saw the inside of his white machine, and it looked bright, clean, silvery. Nothing like this. So I think I have some cleaning to do. If I train my camera back there on that gear, you see all that goopiness on there? Oh, it looks awful. Can't really get my flashlight. There we go. Yeah. I mean, you can tell it's not dry. It has been oiled, or actually that's a gear, so I'll probably put lubricant on that and on that. We have things like that. Lots of fluffy little fiber that needs to be gotten out of there. So I'm going to work on this for a while. I don't know if it will change the way my machine sounds or improve the way it runs, but it certainly can't help. Wow, there's a lot of shmoo in there. If you have a sewing machine and you have an instruction manual that says you should be cleaning it, you might want to think about that and look at all the spots where you're supposed to oil it and all the gears that you're supposed to. Hi, YouTube friends. Well, we are back in the studio with a second attempt at the log cabin. This is my first attempt at a log cabin cushion cover, and I've already taken you through that, and I think I like the back better. I think it turned out well enough for my purposes. Here is the second ugly cushion, and I'll be cutting this off, and now I know what to expect underneath. I'm here with Kate. She's helping me. I've watched this video so many times, but I keep it running just for fun. I'm using really the same fabrics, okay? But this time I'm starting with that fabric that I used on the back. That's my little red center. And I've decided to use, after that, to use the lighter color fabric and then go on to the next darker and the next darker. And then the outside fabric will be this one. So it'll be a different pattern. And I'm nearly done. Really, there's, after the centerpiece, there's 6 rows going out. And I've now done 2 of the light here. As soon as I get 2 more light here, then I'm going to change to the next one in the order. Okay, so I'm not going to take you through all of this, but I thought I would just let you know that I am working on the second cushion, because now I can't bear to look at the ugly cushion on the couch because it looks so appalling. So I'll show you it when I get done. It might be today. It might not be today. I'm looking at these buttons. This is my button jar. It's not much of a button jar, but wouldn't it be fun to have a couple of buttons, maybe even just for decoration? I wouldn't even have to do buttonholes, but it'd be kind of fun to have a couple little buttons on the back. That would be cute. Maybe I'll do that this time. I'm thinking about putting the solid pink as the back fabric, but again, I just don't like it that much, so I'm not sure if I'm going to do that. I can tell that pillow has been in my living room for a while now because it's got dog fur on it. They're on the couches more than we are. Okay, I'm going to get going. I took my machine apart a couple days ago and gave it a really good clean with oil and lubricant and took out so much goop. Oh my goodness. I think I showed you a little bit of that. My husband is getting quite knowledgeable about sewing machines and sewing, and so he told me I really need to take care of it. It is running smoother. It is running better, and I'm pretty pleased with it. It's still a little bit noisy in my opinion. Okay, so we got one more band down here that we need to run. That's coming along. Here is the pillow cover, just the quilted part, log cabin part on the front. I have a lot of work still left to do. This is the fun part. I like how it turned out. I like it a lot better than the last one, a whole lot better. I wish I'd done less of this and more of this one, but it's okay. It really is great. I debated about whether to use this darker one around the edge because I like this one so much. I wanted to have 2 of those, but as usual, I didn't plan ahead very well. So sewed this on a day when I'm not feeling the best. Sorry to say. So I'm going to go take yet another nap. I'll tell you what looks pretty are these leaves here and here, there. Those are prettier than I expected. All right, I think tomorrow I'll finish this up. Leo and I thank you so much for joining us on this long video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you liked any little bit of it, please give it a thumbs up down below. It really helps my channel. Now here are some lovely roses from my front yard to go with the dusty rose fabrics that I've been using.